So I'm going to go over a common compensation I see people at the gym use, but then I also sometimes see coaches overcue this. And that is this. Normally there's a mirror in front, but they look up at the bottom especially the whole time like this. Look at where my head and neck are. So why is that a problem? Well, it has to do with something that I like to call extension, compression, stabilization strategy. And what that basically means is you're over-recruiting the posterior chain. Obviously, the posterior chain is important. We want that to be active, but we want to have that be co-activated and working well with all the other muscles in the body. And so oftentimes, by me looking up like this, I'll basically start to dump through and overarch my low back. And what that does is that causes my rib cage to lift up over my pelvis, and that makes it a lot harder for me to have a good well-rounded 360-degree core stability that I like to talk about, IAP. I just like to call it belly pressure. And then in the maximal sense, the brace, where you're bearing down like you're about to deadlift 500 pounds, which you can see I'm pretty close to hitting. And so the simple cue to be able to help correct this, to keep the rib cage down so that I can really get really good core activation all the way around, is just keeping my chin tucked the whole time, especially at the bottom part of the rep. Like this. And it's not necessarily like a looking down the whole time. It's just a slight chin tuck instead of jutting my chin forward in the rep. This is most commonly seen in a lot of hinge motions, like something like a deadlift. Bent over rows is super common as well, and kettlebell swings. And I understand why this is overcued, because we don't always sometimes want to lift in that rounded spine, because that can sometimes breed injury for some low back injuries. But so then we usually do the opposite, right? Then we're like, oh, well, if I'm rounded and not able to really activate my core well this way, I'm just going to really use these back muscles here. And that cannot sometimes feel very good, but then there's also some compression component of that as well. And so I'm not arching forward and not activating my core. I'm keeping that happy medium, that neutrality into that. And when you have that good belly pressure and you're not, maybe overloading it, you're not really going to dump forward anyways. So